That was wild that y'all didn't hear me. My bad, guys. My bad. My bad. I thought I was up and running. So, do I need to recap? Here's the recap. Okay? I'm going to give you a recap. When society collapses, there's 5 things you need to ensure that you, your group, your family, the group that you partner with across the city or whatever can survive. What are the 5 things? Okay? What are they? 1, water. 2, shelter. Let's back that up. 1, water. 2, food. 3, shelter. 4, security. 5, communication. These are the 5 things that you need to be able to survive in the collapse of civilization, or in a natural disaster event. These are still 5 things that every human being needs to survive. Okay? Now, the thing about it is, I'm not a doomsday prepper or anything like that, but what I am is a person who thinks logically. And in thinking logically, you cannot wait to be prepared after the event happens. You can't try to get prepared after the event happens. You have to already be prepared so you don't have to get prepared, right? So in your preparation, there's somebody in your group, in your team, in your family, or you that need to be able to know how to, 1, get water, acquire water, dig for water, find water. Somebody needs to know that. Okay? Or already have tons of water saved up in your group. Food, same thing. They need to know how to find, kill, fix, supply food for the group. Hands down. Those are 2 most important things, which is why I said them first. 3, you got to be somebody in your group needs to know how to make shelter, build shelter, find shelter, do whatever they got to do for shelter for your group. Because if you don't have shelter, you may be able to survive for a while, but you won't survive for that long, because you do need to have something that you can get away from the elements and or rise above the elements and or stay warm or stay cool, whatever that looks like, depending on the area in which you live or going to be in during an event. Okay? 4, security. Somebody got to have some guns. Somebody got to be able to know how to make weapons, melee weapons, whether it's a shank, whether it's a knife, whether it's, fix a gun, whether it's to build some sort of projectile gun. It might be a bow and arrow, might be a blow dart system, some kind of weapon system. There needs to be somebody who's a master at arms. They need to know how to work with weapons, right? Also, they need to understand how to do perimeter, right? How to secure a perimeter around the place in which your group is going to be sheltered, right? These are things that you got to know, and you got to have somebody on your team or you that knows how to do them. 5. What's 5? 5 is the most important one to me. Let me tell you why. 5. 5 is communication. Communication means that I need to be able to communicate with or receive communications from other people who are providing information that we need to know to be able to continue to survive, right? One of them might be by cell phones. Cell phones are good for a time. In the form of a natural disaster or civilization collapse, those systems may go down, and they may go down pretty fast in the terms of a long-term survival type thing. If they go down, what do you have as backup, right? What is your backup method to communicate to the family that you have across town, or the other group that you're going to partner with, right? To make sure that everybody has something. You create this community, which gives you all unity, which gives you all a better chance of survival when it comes to some sort of civilization collapse or some sort of natural disaster. You got to be able to partner with people. The only way you can do that is with communication, even with your own group, even with your own team. Say you're going out to scavenge for some food, or you got the other person that's scavenging for the water. how do y'all stay in communication with what's going on to ensure that each person is safe, right? It's got to be some form of communication. Now, what I was saying before is that we have ham radios, right? I'm a ham radio operator. I have a license. So I wanted to get prepared in that mode because I wanted to make sure that I knew how to communicate prior to the event, because there's certain codes that you might need to know. There's certain um, um, antenna um, rules or ways to make sure that you can get propagation for long distance or short distance communication, certain kind of wiring. How does all that work? I got prepared because I wanted to make sure I could always maintain communication in the form of ensuring that my group understands how to stay in communication. Right now, because I did that, that's where I fit in the team right now. Right, communication. I can receive many different frequencies. I can make sure that I'm communicating back out to other people to help them to survive. And somebody on your team needs to have the communication piece under the belt, right? If you don't have ham radio, then I guess you got to start figuring out how to work with pigeons or flying paper airplanes, whatever. However, you feel like you can get communications across, because the communication in which we use on a normal basis, cell phones, I don't believe that they'll stay up long. I really don't. They might stay up for a while, and the back end servers and things like that. If it's civilization collapse, if it ever goes down, who's going to be the person to fix it, right? To keep it up. If somebody else jams it, how are you going to get communication out? So ham radio is one of the best ways to do that, right? So that's why I'm saying these are things you have to learn. Somebody in your group needs to be able to do one of those 5 things, at least one. You'll have some people who are like me, who are, skilled in more than one, or they may have one in a possible, like a spades game. You know what I'm saying? They might have one in a possible, one of those skills, but then they might have some other ones that they kind of dabble in, right? They might know a little bit of something about it, at least to try to, make something happen, or to help someone who is more skilled in that area. Y'all work together and y'all can actually make it all happen, right? Those are the 5 things that you need to be able to survive in the form of a natural disaster, civilization collapse, long-term pandemic situation, something like that. You got to have those 5 things, or else you probably will not survive long. Each one of them is needed. Okay. You could probably go a long time without the communication piece. You can. You can. But in the form of trying to make sure that you are teaming up, because like I said, with unity, there's power, right? With unity, there's power. With the community, it's a better chance that you'll survive with no one person having to do it all. So that's why you need all 5 of those. Okay. But even when it comes down to the security piece, right? Number 4, the security piece is huge, because there's not just, you got to know how to fix and work guns and all that kind of stuff, but it's about the securing the perimeter for your group. Like, that's a huge piece. That's a huge piece to make sure that people don't, because if it's a pandemic situation, like what we showed in the video, if you can make a perimeter around your group, then nobody even gets close, which means that nobody in your group or community gets sick. So you have to be able to know how to make that happen, right? The only reason why I was able to learn ham radio, or not how to learn it, but one of the reasons that made me learn it, even though I've been wanting to know about that community, but it never, like, I would never felt pushed to get into it, even though I wanted to know. What got me pushed into it was because when I lived in Oklahoma, and there was a lot of tornadoes, tons of tornadoes. Now, because there were so many tornadoes, that's what allowed me to say, you know what? I need communication, because what I found out once I got into the ham community was, anytime that there was a tornado coming, like, people was relaying information. We knew before the news would put it out. We knew before, the National Weather Service said something. We saw it coming. People already were on the ham radios talking about it. Yo, tornado over here is headed this way, northeast or something like that, which kind of gives you a understanding of where it is. They said the location, that you knew where that was coming from. They said it was going to head in this direction, and so you were able to really have yourself prepared before it got to you. Right? You could get in your safe space, whatever you needed to do. As for like, with the communication piece, it was like I had to learn how to do antenna stuff, how to build an antenna, what it looks like to set up an antenna to get the best propagation you can to reach out to who you want to reach out, depending on your frequency that you're operating on. Like all of this stuff I had to learn. And so I want you guys to know that even something like the person who's going to be over the water, right? And understand water, they need to understand how to purify it. They need to understand how to ensure that it's going to be something that we can drink, right? The team can stay hydrated, because without that, nothing survives. Without water on this planet, nothing survives. So somebody in your team needs to take that, and that's a full-on skill to be able to ensure that people have water in the time of civilization collapse or in the time of some sort of natural disaster, because those regular systems that we use to get water and sewage and all that kind of stuff, those systems ain't gonna stay up. That's almost guaranteed. They'll stay up for a little bit, but give it a couple weeks, and if it's everything is still sketchy and people are still dying, that's not going to stay up, because all of these systems that we have currently out need to be maintained by who? Some human. If the human ain't going to work, if the human ain't got is not keeping the system up, it ain't going to survive. If all the people die, who's going to be the people who are going to learn how to use that system to get it back online? Not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. So Um, I think that was a great video to watch, not to scare you, but in terms of letting you know, I need to get prepared in advance. You know what I'm saying? I need to get prepared in advance. I need to know how to do one of those 5 things so I can provide value. Because if you get into a community, everybody there has to provide value to the whole. If you get into part of a community and you're not pulling your weight, what do you think that's going to be? How long do you think they're going to keep you there? Because you're wasting resources trying to keep you alive, but you provide no value to the group. And that's the thing that I need a lot of people to understand, because a lot of people are hanging around in circles and stuff like that, but really you're just leeching on the group. You are not adding value to the group. And that's not good, because they'll start to feel away. The rest of the group who's actually doing something, the rest of the group who somebody's got to clean, somebody's got to, ensure that communication is going out, that somebody's, doing security, somebody's doing all of these things. But if you're sitting in there and you just kick back like, oh yeah, I'm just going to eat the food and get my water, and, everybody's going to do everything for me like you the queen or you the king, not happening. Not happening. It will take you out first, because you're wasting space and resources, and they're having to spend extra, time trying to make sure that they're providing for you too. Not gonna happen. Get you some skills. Get you some skills early. If they don't kill you, they're gonna put you out there. You know what I'm saying? If they don't take you out, they're gonna what is it called? Excommunicate you out the group, right? Ban you from the group. If they ban you from the group, you're gonna be out there by yourself. Now you gotta figure out how to do all 5 by yourself. Now I'm just saying, trying to warn you, get prepared. Find one of those 5 that you can get into so you can make sure that you're adding value. Because you got to be a person that's going to add value. So this is no different than the things that I'm always dreaming about, trying to tell y'all how to add value. First to yourself, then to the things that you're a part of. If you do that, you will be successful. That's the fastest way to get to success. Add value to yourself, which will bring value to others. Never forget that. Rich Bees told you today. Add value to yourself, which will make you add value to the group. All right. So it's been a time.